Hello everybody, welcome to the last live of Vlogmas. If you are here on the live stream, please let me know if you can hear me, and if you are on the replay, let me know if everything's coming through okay. We're going to be doing a watercolor swatch tutorial today. It was requested. It's fairly low key. I find it to be really relaxing. I can imagine for a lot of you at this point in the week, especially if you celebrate Christmas, you're probably in need of some relaxing. So we're going to just go through it. It's going to be very laid back. If you don't have watercolors, grab yourself something creative to do. I often do things like this with my patrons where we just sort of paint and chat. And that's what we're going to do today. Get something creative to work on, maybe. Or if you have watercolors, you can follow along. You just need some watercolor paper, your watercolors, and some water. And that's all you need. So what I'm going to first do is I'm going to spray these while we keep talking, because one of the best ways to get a really good swatch of your watercolors is to soak them first so that they reactivate. These watercolors are Regina's watercolors. They're one of my favorites, and the reason I'm using them is because I haven't really swatched them recently, and it'll be fun to play with them. So yeah. Ooh, I can see people in the chat. I gotta turn my monitor. I've reoriented my desk a bit. Reoriented where my computers are a bit, just because my keyboard was sitting on like the cross of where the desk meets, and it was kind of wobbling. Anyway, I gotta move. Let me move my chat around so it's easier for me to see. And hello everybody, I see you all. I see you all in the comments. It's good to see you. Ooh, knitting a sock, Debbie. I'm glad you're back. Or are you still there though, aren't you? I don't remember. Watercolor pens. Anything other than wrapping presents? I just bought wrapping paper today. We don't have to have our Christmas until next week, but yeah, I am. I was like, I better get some wrapping paper before I actually try doing anything, before like they start putting everything away. So, that was my stomach growling. Good times. I'm glad to make time for you today, Lydia. I'm happy to see all of you. You're home. Okay. I couldn't remember exactly. Oh, because it was last hangout. That's why. Debbie, I'm good. I don't know what time it is. I'm drinking a ginger ale because that's what I do. All right. So first and foremost, if you want to have really even, nice swatches, you're going to want to draw a grid. I'm not going to draw a grid because today I don't give that much of a shit about doing nice even swatches, but let me grab one of my swatches. Should have grabbed this before. I'm not prepared. Oh shit, there goes all of my thumbtacks. Let's not step on those, shall we? Okay. So these swatches were made with a grid. And you could see in some places it kind of came out, but they're relatively neat. These swatches, I wasn't paying attention to the grid, so they're a little more blobby. It's your call. Drawing the grid for me is not the meditative part of it. As a matter of fact, I find it to be really fucking annoying. I like how it looks, but I don't like doing it. And today I'm focusing on what I like doing. Now, to draw the grid, you just want to have squares that are equal size, and you can create space between them like I did here, or you can just draw a crosshatch grid and just leave yourself some space. There you may wind up with slightly less perfect looking swatches. The other way to get really perfect looking swatches is to use a flat brush where it has like this kind of square, oop, there's the focus box. It has this kind of square edge to it. That actually helps make a really nice even swatch as well, but I'm going to be using a round brush because this is my favorite brush to use. You got this, Kim. I believe in you. Anyway, so this method of swatching, I was inspired a long time ago by a video by Jenna Rainey to do that. So we're going to be kind of following that. So first, we're just going to talk about a basic swatch. So I'm going to take this color, which is rose, and I'm going to pick it up at its top intensity. My brush is wet, but I'm not diluting it on like I'm going to zoom you in so you can see a little bit better. I'm not diluting it like over here on the palette. And when you see, and I lay this down, You see how like nice and like bright that is? Full intensity. Now, if you're doing this with liquid watercolors or with tube watercolors, you're going to get a stronger intensity than if you're going out of a pan, because anytime a watercolor has dried out, it's not going to be quite as intense when you re-wet it. But this is like your deepest intensity. Now, I do not recommend you paint with watercolors at this intensity on a regular basis, except for details and things. You're going to run out of watercolors fast if you do that. But when you're creating just a basic swatch, you want to know the intensity of the main color. And then what I would do is I'll pick up a little bit more of the color and I'll just tap into the water just a little bit, tap off a little bit of the excess, and then go and lay another swatch and see how with a little bit of water, the intensity is a little bit less. It's harder to see on camera, but you'll notice, and then I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna tap into the water, I'm gonna tap off the excess, and I'm gonna lay down another swatch. And as you can see here, it's getting lighter and lighter the further down that I am going. Have I tried a swatching stamp? I have not. That could be really cool though. I've like seen like swatch books. I know that, is it Jerry's Artorama, I think, sells like a watercolor paper swatch book. I don't know. And so I'm gonna just dip it again, tap off the excess, and I'm gonna go again, and you see here, it just keeps getting lighter and lighter. And then for the final one, I'm gonna give it a tap, and we are at like a very, maybe give it a little bit more water, give it a very light consistency. And as you can see, it just goes lighter and lighter. And the point of doing a swatch like this is so that you can see what the color looks like at its top intensity, at like its weakest intensity, and even go like more water, at its weakest intensity, and everything in between. Do you see what I'm saying? Like you're basically just adding a little bit more, and that way you can see how the color performs. The reason you would do this in any swatch, aside from the fact that it can be meditative, is that it helps you get to know your paints. You can start to understand how they work. And if you're like intimidated by watercolor, just by doing swatches, you can actually get really, like, just get more comfortable because you know what your paints do. Now, another way of doing a good swatch is to start with your full intensity right here. And then what you're going to do is you're going to tap into the water and then pull the paint out a little bit. Tap into the water, pull the paint out a little bit, tap into the water. You're doing the same thing, except you're doing one big swatch. You're seeing the color gradation with more and then less water. You see what I'm saying? That's another way to do the same kind of swatch, is to just take it from the dark all the way to the light. And this just helps you get to know your paints and understand your colors. Now, if you're doing this with watercolor markers, what you can do is lay down a really heavy pile of watercolor marker. Now, you'll need a water brush to start working on this immediately, and start just pulling it with the water brush, adding a little bit more squeezing pressure as you're pulling it out to add more and more water to it. It won't be quite as clear as this, but it will create the same effect. Oh my God, Casey Nurse, I just saw your question. Let me see if I don't know if I've got anything. I might see if I can go dig them out a little bit, but yeah, you want to lay down a really heavy, like you want it to be heavy enough where it's like glistening on the paper, and then take your water brush and very lightly watered, and then just squeeze it a little bit more as you pull it out. It takes a little bit more practice because controlling the water brush can be very, very intense, especially depending if you have one that has a lot heavy flow. The other thing you want to do is when you're dipping into the water as a with your paintbrush, don't go like you want to go in, I don't know if you can see, just the tip, just a little tiny bit, and then tap onto your paper towel to just remove a little bit of the excess. You don't want to go overdo, you're trying to add water gradually, okay? It takes practice. It takes a lot of practice. So that's a basic swatch, but the kind of swatches we're going to do today, this is the exercise I want you to give a try, is this exercise here, which is not just swatching a color, but you're also going to be blending a color. So you're, yeah, wet. There's gonna be a lot of dirty jokes in this video, whatever. So we're going to be blending two colors together so that you can actually see how the colors play with each other, which in and of itself is a really great way to understand your paint, okay? So we're going to start by creating just one line here. The way this is going to work is we're going to work with two colors. I'll show you the example here, right? Okay, so the example here is we're doing two different colors, a green and a blue, okay? And then the way that this swatch chart works is that you start with pure green, highest concentrate, pure blue, highest concentrate. When you go this way, you're adding more water. When you go this way, you're changing the ratio of the color. Does that make sense? So here is all green and here is all blue. Here is blue with a little bit of green. Here is blue and green half and half. Here is green with a little bit of blue, and then here is pure green. And then here are the same things, just with a little bit of water, and then here's the same things with more water. Does that make sense? It is hard with a water brush. A water brush makes things more difficult. You can do it with a regular brush and your watercolor pens. The biggest issue with that is that you have to work really fast. The water brush gives you the speed because watercolor pens tend to dry faster than regular watercolors, and you want to work quickly. So water brush will give you the speed, but if you're having trouble controlling it, then use a regular paintbrush and try that instead. Okay, so that's what we're going to be doing. So we're going to pick two colors and we're going to blend them together. So we're going to start, we can do two sets of this tonight. And one set we're going to do is going to be colors that are going to blend really pretty together. So let's see here. What do we got? Let's do Delphinium, which is this nice deep blue, and that same rose, because that should make a really pretty purple. That'll look really, really pretty, okay? And then what we'll do is we'll do two contrasting colors, which will create a gray or a brown kind of situation, which will be a very interesting one. So we'll pick two colors in a second. But for now, we're going to go with Delphinium, and we're going to go with Rose. And those are the two colors that we're going to blend, okay? So we're going to start with the rose since we've already gone into it, and I'm going to pick up the rose again for the full swatch, okay? I'm just going to create a little square here with like some full colors, and these don't have to be this big. You can work a lot smaller, but don't be afraid to use your paints, even if they're expensive paints, even if they are paints you don't want to waste, okay? So here is full bam rose, okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to dip into the water, and I'm going to dip a little bit more than I did before because I'm trying to go for like a medium amount of water. And I'm going to just lay down another swatch of that same rose, just a little bit diluted. See that? And then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to dip into the water a little bit more than before. And then we're going to do the light rose situation here. All right. So that's my initial 3 swatches. I'm not doing the full Monty of this because it's going to take 85 years. You could totally do that. You can do this with any amount of dilution steps. I'm just going for 3 because it's going to go faster. Full swatch realness. All right. It's exactly it, Ruby. Use your shit. It's doing you no good sitting there. Use it. If you knit something with your expensive yarn, you'll have the something you knitted. So you'll still have the yarn. Would I recommend starting with better paints while learning, or do less expensive paints still let you learn correctly? Less expensive paints let you learn correctly. There is a difference between, like I would not go for the cheapest like Crayola or like those Michaels paints. I would go at least one step above that. But yeah, you can learn. If you're going to spend money on anything, I would buy better paper, because like that makes a much bigger difference. This is 100% cotton paper. It's B paper, which they sometimes sell at Michaels in these packs for like $10 for a whole like 50 sheets of this smaller size, which is a great price for 100% cotton paper. Shit performs better on better paper. Okay. And yes, this is very relaxing. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna clean my brush, and we're gonna go back into that red, and we're gonna pick it up, full strength. But now what we're gonna do, and this is gonna jack your paints up a little bit. So you're gonna wanna clean them afterwards unless you don't care if your paints get all mixed up, but this will get your paints all like crunchy. So you're just gonna wanna live with it. It's okay. You'll be able to clean your paints later. Now I picked up a little bit of that blue, and I'm gonna go full strength. See here, it's mostly red, but it's got a little bit of that blue in it. I'm just gonna tap into the blue with the full strength. It's still the full strength color. And now I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna tap into the water, tap off the excess, and do the same thing, but now I'm doing it with the color red or rose with the skosh of blue. Just a little bit of the D, okay? Not too much D, just a little bit of D. D and the P. That's not, I was gonna say in the pink, but whatever. So same deal, but now we've got a slightly darker version of this. You can use a palette to mix them too. I don't mind if I get my paints kind of gross. I'll just wipe them off. All you have to do is take a clean brush and just like swipe. I'm not gonna do it yet. I'll show you when we're done here because I'm about to mix them again, right? So now I'm gonna pick up some more red, some more rose, and this time I'm gonna go and pick up more blue as well. And I'm just gonna give them a little bit of a squish here so that they mix together on my brush. And notice, now we've headed into purple territory. It's like a magenta-y kind of warmer purple because these are like the colors that we started with. And I use the water, maybe a little bit more water. A little bit more water. And then a little bit more water, tap off the excess, and look at that. But you see, by doing this, not only are you learning how the paints perform, you learn how they perform in relation to each other. It takes a long time to, even just a palette like this, that's what? It's got 20 colors in it, or if a 12 color palette or an 8 color palette, it can take a long time to cross swatch every single color, but it's worth it, especially if you have some time to just sit down and do it. Because it does give you the opportunity to really get to know your colors. Okay, so I'm gonna move my blue so you can see kind of where we're at here. There we go. All right, so this is the blue. And since there's still a little bit of red on it, what I'm gonna do is take my clean brush and go back in, and this time I'm gonna pick up the little bit of red that was there, maybe a skosh more red, but now it's mostly blue. Is this the blue? This might be a different color than I think it is. Is this... Oops. Okay, we're actually in Blueprint, not Delphinium. I just realized. That's okay. It's still a beautiful color. Look at that. Look at that. Isn't that lovely? Hi, Victoria. Yeah, and see, this is not like... You know, this is just giving you the opportunity. One of the biggest things that can help when you're learning watercolor is practicing control over the paint and the water. And you don't get a lot of control. One of the reasons I like watercolor is because you don't get as much control. Like there is like accidents, like as Bob Ross would say, even though he was an oil painter, like happy little accidents, right? And so that's my jam, is the happy little accidents. But there is a certain point when it comes to watercolor where... Wait a minute. Wait just a minute here. I know why this is weird. Oh my God, I'm in the wrong palette. Okay, hold on. Okay, I've been trying to figure out what the fuck. It's because I'm in this palette, not this palette. So the colors I'm actually using are coral and eggplant. Isn't that fucking, I'm so good. Hashtag professional. Okay, so we're going red and purple. Still really pretty colors, right? Yeah, so I'm making these with different colors than I thought I was. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go into said eggplant color and pick up the pure, and look how dark and deep that is. Oh, that is a sexy color. It's been a while since I've used these paints. See? But look at that. That is that purple. This is eggplant. This is a purple color, and it is that almost black looking. All right. And now again, a little bit of water, tap off the excess. So this is what it looks like when it's more diluted. It's like almost black purple. That is really pretty. I'm glad I'm using these colors. Okay. And then a little bit more water. I was wondering what the fuck was going on. Okay. So now you can see here that with this little swatch chart, now I know not only how this coral color and this eggplant color perform on their own, but how they intermingle with each other. So if I was going to be painting something, I could use this as a reference, because with these two colors right here, I have 15 different things to work with. Do you see what I'm saying? So like now with just two watercolors, there's infinite more than 15, but like I can see right here on this chart, 15 different examples to work with, which both means you can work with a smaller selection of colors, and learning color theory makes painting a lot easier, as well as getting the practice of painting, controlling your water and controlling your your paint ratios. Holy shit. Even by mistake, I used eggplant, right? Okay. This palette is still Regina's watercolors, but this is just a different one. This one is, I don't remember. She's got a couple of different ones. I'm going to go grab, I'm just cleaning my watercolors off. See, I'm just taking a clean brush and just kind of wiping off any of the excess other color that's on the paint. So now that we've worked with these colors, let's grab the other set, because I would like to do some mixing of like some more, I'd like to do some mixing of some complementary colors to each other, or, you know, the contrasting colors. And these ones are so more muted that I just feel like this set would have a more interesting payoff. That's this set. Whoops. Okay. I'm glad to help. The swatch, fuck my life. These ones, this was her previous style of palette, so shit is a little goopy. That's okay. It's okay. We're fine. Shit's a little goopy. Okay. These things, she sent these as part of it. I have no idea where she got them from. I got these as part of, they were sent with the palettes. Okay, so let's go back to that delphinium color, because I really wanted to use that. And let's mix it with this tangerine. So we're gonna go with blue and orange, which are complementary colors on the color wheel. So we're going to go with those two colors. So tangerine and delphinium. They're in the same row. Should be easy for me to figure out. I'm going to let these sit for just a second here. Actually, while I'm waiting, I'll show you guys one of my favorite colors from this palette, which is the fuchsia. There's a couple of them. The aquarium too. Look at this color. For these Regina's watercolors are wonderful. They're made. Oh, God damn it. I love that color. Look at that. Look at that sexualness. Just a beautiful green. So she makes these with honey. They are really just a lot of fun to paint with. Their colors are very, they're handmade watercolors. That is a rabbit hole. If you do not want a rabbit hole to fall down, do not fall down the handmade. This is a lot brighter. My focus is being fucking weird right now, so as it does. But like she if you fall down the handmade watercolor rabbit hole, I can't promise you're gonna make it back out of it, so be careful, be forewarned. All right, so we're gonna go with blue and orange here. So we're gonna start with the blue. I'm gonna start with delphinium. I'm gonna pick up the, oh my God, don't fling it onto your white shirt, Cindy. I am making poor clothing choices today. I'm gonna move these over here. How about that? Yeah, there we go. We got a good little situation here. Picking up the delphinium. Let's lay this blue. God damn it, I love this blue. God, that's so fucking gorgeous. Look at that. Isn't that just a beautiful blue? Oh my goodness. Yes, Rachel. These are from Regina's watercolor. Okay, I'm going to tap a little water, tap off the excess. Let's go. God damn it, I love this blue. Look how fucking goddamn beautiful it is. Have I gotten any multi-chromes? No. I have a couple that have been sent to me by friends, but I have not gone shopping for them, mostly because I don't want to fall down that rabbit hole any further. I do have the, I have spent way more money than I should have on the, oh God, what is the brand? They're really good. I'll go grab them in a second. Hold on, let me lay down this last bit of moist blue. See there, beautiful, vibrant blue. Ah! Oh my God. I'm having trouble today, you guys. It's okay. It's fine. It's a swatch. That's all it is. Give me a second. When it comes to metallic watercolors, I may have fallen down like the fine tech rabbit hole. I've got like these guys and the good old gold palette, and then these guys. And I would probably buy more if I would allow myself to buy more, but I love them very much. All right, if you use those, the fine tech watercolors though, soak them for a good couple of minutes before you start using them. All right. I'm going back into the blue, load up with the blue, and this time we're going to tap into the orange just a little bit. Just a little bit. And as you can see, it's already getting darker. Because this is a way to get like a nice dark gray to almost black. That's just with a tap of orange. A little bit of water. So the blue is just getting a little darker, a little more muted. It's less vibrant, but it's still recognizably blue. Now what we're going to do is we're going to load up on some blue on one side of my brush, load up on some orange on the other side of my brush, and we're going to mix them just right here on the paper. And this is basically like a greenish, like gray. But that's with about half and half orange, half blue. Oh, Nicole, I am so sorry. Like, here's the thing, whether your hobby is diamond painting or watercolors or yarn things like knitting and such, use your shit, because it's not doing you any good sitting around in your house, except looking pretty, which I guess in and of itself can be really good, but like, use it. Yes, Aaliyah, we're watching paint dry. Exactly. All right, we're going to go into the orange and pull off the blue that was sitting on top of the orange to create this. See, now we're moving into the more orange end of things. You see how it's changing? How the darkest is in the middle here? And doing these, as much as these are not the prettiest colors in the world, when you mix like the complementary colors together, they can be so useful for painting landscapes. They can be useful for painting shadows. This color, like if you're gonna paint something this kind of blue and you want to do a shadow for it, mix a little orange into it because it'll still be related to the blue, but it will have the shadow be darker and more and less saturated. And then I'm gonna clean my orange off because my orange is like covered in blue right now. You see, I'm just kind of rolling my brush around in it. Although you can see a lot of these paints are all jacked up looking anyway. But I'm just giving it. The other way you can clean it is with a bit of paper towel. While it's still wet. And just take your bit of paper towel and kind of tap off that extra bit of color. And you'll be like, but it might waste some of my color. Yeah, well, then don't worry about it. Luann, try doing what we're doing right now. Try just swatching them and messing with them to see how the colors play with each other. Picking up some of this orange on its own. And see, look, there it is. There's that beautiful, vibrant orange on its own. Just vibrant orange. Oh, shit. Whoops, I didn't want to clean that. Hold, please. There we go. Missed one. And then we're on top of that one blue that I actually, but you see how you're going in one direction to the other with all of them? And it just shows you, again, two colors. You can create a whole bunch of different shit with those two colors. Yes, all I'm doing, Danielle, is to re-wet the brush. I'm just tapping it into the water. Same exact amount of paint on the brush. So that is the basics of swatching. Now, since I'm not going to be on here for the full hour tonight, mainly because I don't feel good if you saw my Instagram stories. But what we will do right now is we will show some other fun ways you can do a similar style swatch. So for example, let's take rose. Get a full loaded up brush of like pure color of rose, the actual rose, not the rose that I thought was rose. Look at that beautiful color right there. Okay, so there's a beautiful color of rose. Now I'm gonna clean my brush completely and I'm gonna do the colors I originally wanted to do. That blue delphinium right here, I'm gonna load up with that puppy and do it right here. Beautiful blue. They're still wet, okay? Still wet. Now what I'm going to do is just take a wet brush with no color on it, and I'm going to just start pulling the color towards the middle here. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, clean wet brush, pull the color towards the middle, and then when they touch, suddenly you start seeing how they mix together. Now take another clean light and damp off. You can start blending the colors in either direction if you want to, so you can start seeing like what can happen with the same two colors. And you can do this with any color. Again, it's trying to give you ways to play with your watercolors so that you can, I'm gonna add a little bit more rose to this side too, and just pull a little this way. But you see how you can just play with the colors to try making different things? If you wanted one of the lighter colors for a project, how do you achieve that? The way to lighten watercolor is with water. But if you want to work with like a paler color, like here, let's take daffodil, yellow. As you can see, I use the shit out of this color. I'm almost out of it. So we take this yellow, and again, here's the yellow, full strength. Watered it down. Watering it down. Watering it down. I'm just going to keep watering it down. And that's how you create a lighter color. Now, when you work on any sort of watercolor painting, remember that to achieve this trend, like you can work with white watercolor. There's a white watercolor here. So one way that you can work with white watercolor, let's take the blue as an example, right? I'm gonna lay down some of the pretty strong blue right here. You can see what that looks like, right? This is the strong blue. Now what I'm gonna do is take some of this blue and put it on my palette. The reason I love these palettes is because they're glass, by the way. Mixing on glass is delightful. And I'm gonna grab some of this white and I'm gonna mix it into the blue. Now, if you're gonna lighten your colors, you wanna lighten them with water. But when you use white, what it does is it creates kind of a more, it's hard to see on camera, but it creates a more smoky effect, like almost cloudy. Like this is not just a lighter blue. It's hard to see on camera because of the lights and the focus and everything, but this blue is much more kind of foggy looking rather than just the difference between adding some extra water. Here's some water, here's a little bit of the blue, mix it in with the water to lighten it. And it just, this is a crisper color. This, you can't see. This is a little bit more like smokiness to it. Yeah, keep a scrap piece nearby. What you want, often what you will do, let me get some more paper here. We're gonna keep going. So often what you will do if you're gonna do a painting is you're gonna try and pick your colors first and mix them first. Because with watercolor, you wanna work quickly. And so if you have to stop and remix, I mean, you're still gonna have to do that. But if you wanna stop and remix every single time, then your paint's gonna dry. And if you wanna work wet into wet, then that is, and that's another way to show things. So here, I'm gonna put water down. This is a little bit blue tinted because my water's hella dirty right now. Painting with dirty water makes your colors more muddy. So I'm putting down some water, right? There's just water. You can see it if I put it in the light. You can see the wetness, right? Now what I'm gonna do is grab some of the fuchsia because that was just requested. And instead of just going bloop, I'm gonna add it to the edge. Now this is not super wet though, but like, you can use this to create lighter colors. The paints bleed more depending on the kind of paint, and if you work with like tube paints, you're going to get a really nice bleed effect. But the thing is that you want to experiment. If you don't know what you're going to do, keep scrap paper nearby. Like let's say I wanted to paint something with this blue and this fuchsia, like maybe add some fuchsia here to give it kind of a purpley look. Ooh, that's pretty, right? And then I want just some plain fuchsia on its own, but maybe I want a little bit wet. And I want some like stronger fuchsia. So I'll mix them, and then what I'll do is I'll go and I'll test my colors based on what I have on my palette so I can see what colors I'm working with and then decide, do I like these colors? I do like these colors, by the way. Do I like these colors? Do I need something different? That was the purple I was going for with the first swatch, by the way. Yeah, milky. Thank you. That's the word I was looking for with white. It makes it milkier. So I'm going to take this purple and I'm going to add some of this white to it. So it does lighten it, but what it also does is it makes it look milkier. That's a great way to put it. And so that's really great, especially if you're painting like a cloudy day. Holy shit. So good. No, this is B paper. I have some of the Arches paper, but as much as I talk about using things, I'm kind of precious with it. Colors do say trans rights. And then I'll add a little bit of blue to this side. And look at that. I'm just mixing them on directly on the paper. Like you can, if you want to play with watercolors, the best way to play with watercolors, if you don't know what you want to paint, if you just want to know how they work, is to just get yourself some water, swatch them, and move forward. Okay, so I'm going to sign off soon, but I'm going to do one more thing for you just to show you how beautiful these colors are. I'm just going to swatch the whole palette. I'm not going to do a big swatch, just one single full color swatch of every single color so that you can see how they all lie down, okay? So I'm just giving them another spray just to make sure they're moist enough. Moist. Okay. We're going to give these just a quick swatch so you can see this palette. And this, again, is also fun. I recommend you do this with any watercolors you buy, is just do a full color swatch on watercolor paper. For the love of God, if they give you a little card, unless it's made of watercolor paper, don't use that because it doesn't show the true colors. What you want is to swatch on watercolor paper, just the true color, so that you have a reference to what colors you actually have. The picture of colors on the box is not accurate. Swatching on some kind of coated cardstock is not accurate. You want to swatch on a piece of watercolor paper, okay? Especially if it's the paper you plan to use. All right, so we're just gonna start going and I'll tell you the color name. So this one is fuchsia. God damn it, I love this color. These are such beautiful watercolors. These are not inexpensive watercolor palettes, but god damn it, they're gorgeous. I actually used these as the base for, I think, the first series of Fuckery Flowers. This color is rose. Oh. And this also, doing this with watercolors is so sexual to me. Like, oh, fuck yeah. But if you're going to give them the full color swatch and it's a palette of pans like this, not liquid watercolors, be sure to swatch after soaking them for a few minutes, for like at least 30 to 60 seconds. Soak them so that they activate and you get the true payoff and it doesn't feel like you're having to scrape them off of their block. How do I know how much water to do, Jessica? Well, it just takes practice. You just get used to it. There is somebody who describes it as like milk versus ink versus water in terms of the texture. I've never really been able to understand that. So for me, it's just, I usually start heavy duty and work my way lighter, and I do a lot of testing. This one is strawberry. Much more of like a warmer kind of red. What do I do with liquid watercolors? I work in just a couple of drops and I dilute them. You still dilute liquid watercolors with water. They don't reactivate quite as nicely as, at least in the palette, as tube watercolors. This one is amethyst. And notice this purple is actually brighter. It's a more vibrant version, but it's a more vibrant version of the purple that we made from the other palette. Like it's still more vibrant, but it is a very similar kind of version. We got violet. You're turning violet, violet. And please know, I'm not a huge expert on watercolors. I know what I know from just years of practice and absorbing and so on and so forth. So trust when I say, if I could figure this out, you can figure this out, okay? Like I promise you. My personal favorite, one of my favorite colors in the whole palette, which is aquarium. That's this color here. What kind of flowers would I paint with these? Any flower, man. I did, when I painted a lot of the underpaintings for the Fuckery Flowers, I did dilute the shit out of them because I work in really light layers. A thing with watercolor, again, like I said, these rich colors are not what you want to start with. You want to work light because you can't add any more light back to the paper unless you go in with like white pen or white gouache. The white of the paper is like the original white. So you want to start light and work your way up to dark, not the other way around. That one's called Seashore, by the way. Now we're going to go back to orange with Tangerine, our old friend from the swatching. Beautiful bright orange. Oh, thank you, Lydia. I love painting. I just bought myself my Christmas present from my kids. They knew what I told them what I wanted. They said, Mom, can you just figure it out because you know the right one? And I'm like, yep, I don't care about surprises. I got myself an easel so I could work. One of my goals, you're going to see, I have a goal video coming out this weekend, is to start working larger scale for my own enrichment. And I got myself some heavy body acrylics. So one kid is giving me an easel, one kid is giving me heavy body acrylics. This color is called Poppy. And then this color is another one of my favorites from this palette. It's a very terracotta looking color, and it is called Sedona. And I really, this color, it's hard to see on screen. It looks a little brighter than it is, but it's a very like rich terracotta color, and it's just so fucking pretty. Have I done a sunflower? Yes. I've got Gerberas and sunflowers in the Etsy shop, although it's closed right now. The sunflower says bullshit, and the Gerberas say... Fuck, what do they say? Let me look. What do my gerbs say? Where are my gerbs at? I remember the sunflower because the sunflower is the most popular fuckery flower. And also, Jessie was the one who told me where to put it. Not where to put the sunflower, but where to put the cuss word in it. So that one has a very specific place in my heart. The gerbs say poon. Oh, God. Yeah. Heavy body acrylics, Jessica, are acrylics with a lot more like thickness to them. They give you more texture. Where am I at here? This color is called Red Onion, and it's like a very kind of warm, deep purple. Then we got Blueberry, which is like almost like a navy. And then we're back to our good friend Delphinium, that beautiful vibrant blue that I love so much. And then Aqua is this one here that I'm picking up. Another really gorgeous. This is just a beautiful palette. Like I was saying, I love this palette so very much. And then next row, you got Daffodil, which is the bright yellow. I mean, you could tell I've used a lot of the bright green and the bright yellow because when you're doing floral paintings, those two colors get used a whole hell of a lot. And since I love to paint florals, it like should make sense, right? This one needs a little bit more love. This color is called Sunflower. You can see why. God damn it, that's pretty. Green like the inside of the blueberry. Oh, so pretty. Yeah, no, the palette is very dark when you look at it, which is another reason to swatch it. It's like when you look at makeup sometimes and the color in the pan and the color that's actually on your face are two very different colors. Yes, mustard, which is not the prettiest color to me, but it is a very useful color. Add this color to a purple to make a really like rich, like shadowy gray. Then we've got Chocolate, which is a beautiful brown. It's probably one of my favorite browns. It's like a purple brown, and god damn it, I love it. So fucking pretty. It's hard to see on camera, but like it pulls really purple, and it's so goddamn gorgeous. Then we have Denim. By the way, if you are a Wheel of Time fan, did you know, I just noticed this, I didn't realize this, one of the guys cast for season 2, who's gonna play Inktar, is in A Discovery of Witches. He plays Domenico. Yeah, crossover. All right, here's Blueprint, another really dark blue. And remember, any of these can be lightened to a color that's like, you don't want to go in with just this color. If you want to work this dark all the time, go with gouache. You'll waste less paint. Eucalyptus. The Cold Open Heather, most recent episode, episode 7. Ash, the palette is from Regina's Watercolors. It was her, this one I got was back a few years ago, but this was her original set. There's 7 times, there's 28 colors in this set. And then the like most useful green in the whole set for me, Spring. You can tell, just a nice bright green. Thanks, Heather. And then this one is Avocado, which is another beautiful green. I love greens. I like to paint flowers. Greens are the most useful colors to me. Then we got Olive, which is another beautiful, like, this one's like an olive green. And then we're going into the grays. We've got Coal, which is the black color. Lead, which is a cooler black. So Coal, it's hard to tell again on camera. Let me dilute these two really quick, because Coal is a warmer black and Lead is a cooler black, okay? So here, let me pull these down a little bit so you can kind of see. This is the warmer black that can be turned into a warmer gray. You see how that pulls a little bit towards like purple, kind of like reddish, like the brown side of things. And this one tends to pull more like towards the blue. But you see, you can see the undertone here. One is warmer, one is cooler. And also remember, and this is just part of color theory that we're not going to go into right now, but there is such a thing as a cool red and a warm red, and a cool blue and a warm blue, right? But this black pulls warm, this black pulls cool. They both can be diluted to gray. And then finally we have Stone, which is more neutral and also a little less deep in terms of colors. And then you can't see this one, but this is the white color. But here, I'll add it into this. I'll pull the white into this eucalyptus because it's still wet. And you can see how kind of milky, I love it. That's the perfect word. I'm going to zoom you in a little bit so you can see how milkier. See how the eucalyptus, it's not just paler, but it's also like, it's almost got like feels like it's not as transparent anymore. That's the difference with white. So yeah, this is this palette. I love this palette. This is a great palette for painting botanicals. Just letting you know. Like there's only a few greens and then these like other colors, but with them, I'll show you real quick before we jump off. And I did say I was going to sign off at before an hour, and it's mostly an hour now. I'm going to show you the beautiful thing that can happen with a green if you add purple to it. I learned this trick a long time ago from the Pigeon Letters because it's one of her favorite things to do. Let's take this purple violet, okay? This beautiful, vibrant, dark, like rich purple, right? You see how pretty that is? Now, if you want to kind of muddy it up, I'm taking a little bit of let's see here, we'll do Avocado. I'm just going to pull in this green. And look at the side with the green, just how it's a little bit less purple, a little bit more muted, a little bit more like deep, but like it's got like the kind of gray on, but it's not quite as like, it's not quite as vibrant anymore. This is the kind, when you're painting nature paintings, dulling it down just a little bit makes it look a little bit more realistic. What brush am I using? This is a Princeton Heritage round brush, number 6. If you want one that soaks up a little bit more water, I love the Princeton Neptune series. These tend to hold a lot more water. I also have some, I mostly have synthetic brushes. I do have a few of the Black Velvet, which are animal hair brushes, but I try, like, I have them because they were gifted to me by a family member, but I try to go with synthetic only brushes, and I find, especially the Princeton line, seems to work just fine for my purposes. Where do I suggest buying watercolor palettes? It all depends. I would say that if you're going for a like student grade, like if you're not going to go for professional grade, you're going to go for a step down. The Winsor & Newton Cotman colors they usually could sell a pan of like dried of cakes, like a palette like this at Michael's, and it's not too expensive. I love the Winsor & Newton professional colors, but the Cotman colors are really nice. If you're going to go on to Amazon and look, the Munio, I have that palette too. Let me show you that one. I'm not going to swatch it because I don't have time right now, but this Munio palette is you see I've used the shit out of it. This, you get an excellent amount of colors for the price, and they have a really great payoff. Just make sure that if you're going to get watercolor brushes, that you get brushes that are meant for watercolor, because you want brushes that can hold a lot of water. Brushes for acrylic or for oil or the ones that are like, you can use these for anything. Those are not the brushes you want. Get brushes that are meant for watercolor, because you will have a much easier time. And make sure when you dry your brushes to try and do it with them hanging upside down if possible, especially if you spent money on them, like good money. Cricut, open them, my guy. Open them. Okay, if there's one thing I can leave you with today, I'm going to clean my palette off, not this green, because that got stuck from here, and I'm going to use that green, but I'm going to clean this section of my palette off. If there is one thing that you're going to take away from this video, it's that if you have any craft supplies, whether they're paints or there's something else, fucking use them, okay? If you have watercolors and you've been afraid to use them, now you know how to do a simple swatch. Swatch your shit. That way you will have at least started to make an acquaintance with them, and you might feel a little braver, okay? Give yourself a swatch. I don't know what you could do if you have like yarn or shit like that, but fucking use your shit. Don't just let it sit there. It's sad if it just sits there. You don't want it to be sad. I know like paints and shit don't have feelings, but like don't just let your shit sit there. Use it. Take delight in it. If you have it, if you're lucky enough to have supplies, use them. Or donate them if you don't think you're going to use them, so somebody else can use them. You know? Just do that. I'm going to see if I can wipe this blue off of here. I don't have any more baby wipes, which is what I usually use to clean my desk off. It's okay. We will make it work. It's okay if it's stained. I actually got some of those photo backdrops to put on my desk for filming, not because I'm like super into the idea of filming on like a surface like that, but I think the white of my desk is throwing off the focus, and I'm going to work on that in the next week or so. Anyway, swatch all your things. Use your shit. Use your shit. That's what I'm telling you to do. Anyway, I'm going to get going. Thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you for hanging out with me for every Vlogmas live stream. If you're a patron, we're doing one more next week. But no hangout, but just a regular live stream next Tuesday. No plan with me's until the 9th, because I will be celebrating Jesse's birthday with him this weekend. We made our reservations. And then the following weekend, my kids will be back, and we're going to be doing our family Christmas. I've loved hanging out with you. Videos are still going to come out every single day for the rest of the month, so stay tuned for that. Tomorrow is my planner lineup. So, yeah, I know you've all been waiting to hear about that. Excellent. Anyway, have a wonderful rest of your day. Have a great holiday if you're celebrating this weekend. And until next time, friends, peace.